Welcome back everyone to Formula 1 2021 and welcome to your practice report for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Now for those of you that are new to the channel, or for some of you that just need a bit of a refresher heading into 2021, our practice report is where you will get all your news, all of your rundown, all of your analysis from today's Formula 1, FP1 and FP2 sessions, your two practice sessions on a Friday over the course of a race weekend. We're going to be analysing the times where we can, all of the dramas, all of the events, all of the action over the two practice sessions, taking a look at where the pecking order is heading into qualifying, heading into the race, and rounding it up with our final predictions for the weekend ahead. So as always, if you are new, feel free to subscribe to keep up to date with all Formula 1 2021 news, reviews, all that good stuff. But without further ado, let's jump into some times. And if you thought people were getting carried away about Red Bull being champions in 2021, after today's two sessions, I think people are going to get even more carried away with Max Verstappen topping FP1 with a time of a 1:31.394, 0.3 quicker than Mercedes' Valtteri Bottas. Lando Norris was P3. A big surprise in today's two practice sessions was the pace of that McLaren, certainly going to be in the mix for a potential podium in tomorrow's race, with reigning world champion, 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton P4. Another big surprise today, Ferrari. Want to talk about them in a moment's time. 5th for Charles Leclerc, 8th for Carlos Sainz in FP1. They were split by the Honda duo of Perez at Red Bull in P6, making his debut for the team this weekend, and Pierre Gasly P7 in an AlphaTauri car, which also looks really good this weekend heading into the race. But as you can probably guess, there's a few teams we've not yet mentioned that aren't quite looking so good. Daniel Ricciardo is P9 and Antonio Giovinazzi for Alfa Romeo making it into the top 10. But as we always say, don't read too much into practice times. It is just practice after all. Your bottom half looked like this with Raikkonen P11, a really strong session for Alfa Romeo in the morning, and then we start to get into some of these teams that didn't have such a good day. Vettel in 12th, Stroll in 13th for Aston Martin, still having those issues, but plenty of laps in the morning in FP1. Rookie Yuki Tsunoda again had a strong day, 14th place. Pace wasn't fantastic in the morning, it was in the afternoon, and again plenty of laps. Another big surprise though, Alpine 15th and 16th, a very different run plan to some of those guys further up, and I wonder maybe if there's a bit of strategy going on, but wasn't fantastic from the French squad today. Russell 17th, Latifi 18th, and the two Haas cars P19 and 20. In the afternoon, very similar stories up and down the grid. Once again, Max Verstappen topping the times, even quicker in FP2, a 1:30.847, with Lando Norris less than a tenth behind his Red Bull counterpart. McLaren were trying their best to subdue expectations. Norris and Andreas Seidel, team principal, came out after the session, have said in press releases they want to keep it calm, not get too carried away. They still think they're behind the two big boys, but hey, Norris did a cracking job in both sessions today. It was 3rd and 5th for the two Mercedes. They were split by Carlos Sainz. Really good race pace from that Ferrari in the afternoon. Yes, his time is good, his qualifying runs were pretty solid, but race pace in particular, again, looks like they've got something up their sleeve, Ferrari. Something we've not said for quite some time. Danny Rick P7, Yuki Tsunoda, there's that pace I was talking about earlier. 7th for the Japanese driver. Lance Stroll split the two AlphaTauris with Pierre Gasly P9. Sergio Perez, still not completely at 1 in his Red Bull, rounded out the top 10. And your bottom half started off with Esteban Ocon 0.7 off Verstappen's best time. And actually, if you go down to Kimi Raikkonen in 16th place, the top 15 runners all within a second of Max Verstappen. The field looks so close this year. Quali is going to be mega tomorrow afternoon. Charles Leclerc was 12th with Antonio Giovinazzi P13. More issues for Aston Vettel down in 14th. Alonso P15. Raikkonen having the only incident of the day. pretty plain sailing for the majority of drivers out there so far this weekend, but Raikkonen finding himself in the barriers, losing his front wing early on in FP2, ultimately completing 15 laps and a best time of 16th. And then just like in FP1, it's your two Williams, your two Haas cars, led by George Russell, all in the bottom four. So then, with times out the way, this is how I think the running order is looking like heading into the weekend. No reliability issue so far. Yes, there was that off for Raikkonen, but apart from that, very, very smooth running. Something we don't normally say when it comes to practice before a race weekend, but I think the fact we did winter testing here a few weeks ago, these guys know the circuit inside and out by now. They're ready to get qualifying, they're ready to get underway. But I think the pace looks something like this, with Red Bull the team to beat, Mercedes very much still in the mix, and though I've put the best times on screen, they're more of just a guide than anything concrete, with McLaren having the second best time, but I think third overall is realistic for where they're going to be. The fight for the midfield though, as we all know, is going to be the big talking point of this year. Ferrari I think are best of the rest at the moment, with AlphaTauri just in behind. I wonder how Yuki Tsunoda's going to cope in his first weekend of Formula 1, but things so far really looking good for the Japanese driver, and Pierre Gasly just seems to be continuing this form from last year. Awesome stuff for the small Italian team. Aston Martin still carrying over a few of those issues from winter testing, but what I would say, I think they were doing something different today. I do think they were trying to compensate for all those issues they had a few weeks ago, and I think their run plan, like Alpine, I've got in 7th, I think those two could be dark horses. So though they're 6th and 7th in my provisional running order, there is still a chance they could get into Q3. Alfa Romeo seem comfortably in a world of their own. Not quite in that mix, in that midfield fight with AlphaTauri, with Aston Martin, with Alpine, but definitely in front of the back two teams, which Williams seem to not be last. Haas really struggling to get time out of their cars, really struggling on race pace, struggling also to put in a big amount of laps. So I think the issues with Haas this season, sadly for them, seem to be in place already before we've even started the first Grand Prix. And before we go, predictions time for this weekend. Yesterday I gave you a grid, but for the first time on the channel I also put up a community poll, and I thought this could be something just a little bit different to try and gauge who you guys think will win this weekend's Grand Prix. And after 6,300 of you voted on the poll, 45% of you have gone with a Max Verstappen victory, 32% Lewis Hamilton, 9% for Sergio Perez, but just as many of you thought Valtteri Bottas and someone else, 7% for each, would win this weekend. So many of you commenting for Danny Rick. I saw a few Lando Norrises, a few Seb Vettels in there, but many of you, 45%, almost half of you, thinking Red Bull are the team to beat heading into this season. God, I pray Mercedes aren't sandbagging, because if this is the case, if Red Bull generally have a car that is the team to beat, what a season we're going to have this year. But your two winners, this was the grid I gave you yesterday, like we did last season, from qualifying, who was going to be on pole, who was going to be the front row and biggest shock, and in the race, your winner podium, first DNF, best overtake and driver of the day. And our first runner-up of 2021 is Henry O'Boyle, who went with Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas 1-2 in qualifying. I hate to say this, I think that could be a brave shout. Can't believe those words are coming out of my mouth, but the big shock in qualifying, no Alpine in Q3. In the race, it's a Hamilton victory, of course it is. Verstappen P2, but Sebastian Vettel on debut for Aston Martin claiming a podium. Bottas will be the first DNF. The best overtake will be Sebastian Vettel on Charles Leclerc. What a scrap that would be. And his driver of the day, also Sebastian Vettel. And your first winner of the 2021 season is Ishon Shivalkar, who has gone bold for the opening race of the season, but so many of you think McLaren are going to have a big chance this weekend with a Danny Rick on pole position, Verstappen P2, Sebastian Vettel P3, so much love for Seb in the Aston Martin, but come race day, Lando Norris will claim his first victory, a McLaren 1-2 to start the season, Vettel on the podium, but troubles more Mercedes, again going with a Bottas first retirement, Hamilton on Verstappen, overtake of the day, and Carlos Sainz, driver of the day. And that is it from me here for your practice report for Bahrain in 2021. I'll be back tomorrow for qualifying, and on Sunday, the big day. Formula 1 is back, ladies and gents. I cannot wait. Thank you all very much for watching. Subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you all in the next one.